What's up, guys? So, have you ever spent time working all day and at the end of the day you look back and almost nothing got done? All right, that's what I'm going to be covering in this video. So, if you're a person who's serious about getting things done, who's serious about their growth, please help us out by subscribing. Let's get into it. So, why does that happen? Why do we spend an entire day of work and find ourselves still with zero progress by the end of it? It's almost inconceivable, right? Because we will spend like 8 hours like legit working. We're not slacking off. We're not being distracted, and still we're not getting anything done, right? At least I've experienced this myself, and this was the remedy that I came up with. All right, there are two things that I did. The first thing is I chunked my time, and the second thing was I discovered what time of the day was best for me to work. Let's start off with chunking time. So chunking time is basically working in blocks of time, right? So if you're, let's say, a writer, the first thing you want to do is say pick out 2 hours in the day, right? 2 hours, that's about that's one chunk of time, and you designate that 2 hours as your writing time. And if you do any other activities, like you on the side you code or whatever, then you pick out another 1 hour, 2 hours, or whatever time you find appropriate, and you chunk that time out and you make it designated for the coding activity or whatever activity you do, right? And this works really, really well because when you're working in chunks of time, one, you're not gonna do too many things in one day, right? Because you're getting like a third of your day and dedicating it to one thing that you deem very, very important. But the important thing is when you're chunking your time is in that block of time, you're not doing anything else, right? Because the reason why we find ourselves spending an entire work day working and not getting anything done is because during our work times, we allow other people to distract us, right? We get text messages, we get notifications from Facebook, Instagram, and all these other social media apps. Even just random games that we downloaded will notify us on some things, right? So we allow distractions from the outside to take place, right? But those are not the most devious ones, right? Because we're all aware that we shouldn't let our phones distract us. We're all aware that we shouldn't let coworkers or our roommates distract us. The most dangerous thing when you're chunking your time that makes you very, very unproductive, or myself as well, is distracting ourselves, right? That's where it's really dangerous. For example, you might be working and then you get thirsty. So you're like, all right, I'm gonna stop my work and I'm gonna go downstairs, get some water. Or you might be working and you're like, you know what, let me use the bathroom real quick and then I'll be right back. And the thing is, when you take those 2 to 3 minutes, you're not just interrupting your productivity for 2 to 3 minutes. Your brain, every time you stop, has to come back and reboot, right? And so like it might take like 20 minutes to get back into the flow that you were in before you took the break, right? If you allow other people or your phone to distract you, every time your phone or other people distract you, they're not distracting you for 5 minutes or 8 minutes. They're distracting you for like what would be like an hour, because your brain is having to restart in order to get back into the same state of mind that you were in before they interrupted you. All right, so when you chunk your time, it's really, really important that you allow nothing and no one else to distract you for the entire time that you're doing your work. So if you're a writer and somebody knocks on your door, they didn't just take away those few minutes of knocking on your door and talking to you. They just literally ruined your entire work period, because your brain is not in the same state of mind that it was in before they interrupted you. So it's very, very important that when you start your chunk of time, that you designate that time for just the work, right? Use the bathroom before or after, use your phone before or after, but when you chunk out a time, that time belongs to whatever activity you've deemed important enough to chunk out, okay? So that's chunking time, right? You pick a time of the day, right? Like 2 hour block of time, and you work without any distractions, not from outside activities and not from yourself either. If you can do that, you're gonna find that you've like doubled or tripled your productivity because you're not allowing any distractions, right? Small distractions throughout the day is where like 80% of your productivity is going down the drain. All right. Now, the second thing is picking a time of day, right? This is very important because you might think like, all right, I'm a writer, right? And so I'm gonna write in the morning and then I'm gonna do other things later in the day, right? And it's all the same to you. Or you might be like, all right, you know, yesterday I wrote in the morning, tomorrow let me write in the afternoon, right? And then you start it. So instead of writing in the morning, you write in the afternoon, and you think that writing in the afternoon is the same as writing in the morning. That's not true at all. Because when you're writing in the morning, the state of mind you're in is not the same state of mind that you're writing in when you're writing in the middle of the day. Because when you're writing in the middle of the day, you've already had people bombard you with drama. You've had political discussions on your phone that irked you and made you angry, right? You've had to-do lists that you've had in your mind that you were working on throughout the day, right? So like your mind is not in the same state that it's in as in the morning. And when you work in the morning, it's not the same as working in the night. And when you're working the night, it's not the same as working in the afternoon, right? So what's really important about chunking is that the work you did important, you want to put as early as possible, right? First thing in the morning, because that's when you get the most out of your mind, right? Because that's when your mind is most rested. That's when you have the least amount of distractions in your head. That's when you were literally the best version of yourself, right? And this might vary for some people. Some people might find that the best time that they work is in the night. But because we're humans and we're designed to wake up and work until nighttime, first thing in the morning is usually the best time to start working, all right? But whatever it is for you, pick a time where you find that your brain is the most effective, all right? Because you're not the most effective all day. So if you want to be maximally productive, get your chunk of time that you're going to be working on your most important activity and put it at the time of day that you're most effective. And you're going to find that's a little, it's like a boost when you work at the right time for the right amount of time, right? So that's the second thing right there. Picking the time of day is very important because your brain has a time either in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the night where it's most effective. And if you can find that time, you're gonna find that you're much more effective when you're always working at that time. So those are the two things. Chunk your time, right? Pick out slots of time that you're working, right? Don't work a little bit on this and then go do other things and then come back to it, right? Work in chunks of time, right? Without any distractions, and work at the time that your brain is most effective. If you can do those two things, you're gonna find that you're literally moving at 3 times the speed that you normally were moving at. All right, that's all I got on this one, guys. I hope you find this useful. And if you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.